The Law of One, Session 60, July 1st, 1980.
I am Ra. I greet you in the love and in the light of the one infinite Creator. We communicate now.
60.1 Questioner. Could you first give me an indication of the instrument's condition?
I am Ra. It is as previously stated.
60.2 Questioner. It is my opinion that the best way for the instrument to improve her condition is through periods of meditation followed by periods of contemplation with respect to the condition and its improvement. Could you tell me if I am correct and expand on my thinking?
I am Ra. Meditation and contemplation are never untoward activities. However, this activity will in all probability, in our opinion, not significantly alter the predispositions of this instrument which cause the fundamental distortions which we, as well as you, have found disconcerting.
60.3 Questioner. Can you tell me the best approach for altering, to a more acceptable condition, the distortions that the instrument is experiencing?
I am Ra. There is some small amount of work which the instrument may do concerning its pre-incarnative decisions regarding service to the infinite Creator in this experience. However, the decision to open without reservation to the offering of self when service is perceived is such a fundamental choice that it is not open to significant alteration, nor would we wish to interfere with the balancing process which is taking place with this particular entity. The wisdom and compassion being so balanced by this recapitulation of fourth density is helpful to this particular mind-body-spirit complex. It is not an entity much given to quibbling with the purity with which it carries out that which it feels it is best to do. We may say this due to the instrument's knowledge of itself which is clear upon this point. However, this very discussion may give rise to a slightly less fully unstopped dedication to service in any one working so that the service may be continued over a greater period of your space/time.
60.4 Questioner. You are saying, then, that the physical distortions that the instrument experiences are part of a balancing process. Is this correct?
I am Ra. This is incorrect. The physical distortions are a result of the instruments not accepting fully the limitations placed prior to incarnation upon the activities of the entity once it had begun the working. The distortions caused by this working, which are inevitable given the plan chosen by this entity, are limitation and, to a degree consonant with the amount of vital and physical energy expended, weariness, due to that which is the equivalent in this instrument of many, many hours of harsh physical labor. This is why we suggested the instrument's thoughts dwelling upon the possibility of it suggesting to its higher self the possibility of some slight reservation of energy at a working. This instrument at this time is quite open until all resources are quite exhausted. This is well if desired. However, it will, shall we say, shorten the number of workings in what you may call the long run.
60.5 Questioner. Will spreading the workings out over greater intervals of time so that we have more time between workings help?
I am Ra. This you have already done. It is not helpful to your group to become unbalanced by concern for one portion of the work above another. If this instrument is, in your judgment, capable and if the support group is functioning well, if all is harmonious and if the questions to be asked have been considered well, the working is well begun. To overly stress the condition of the instrument is as deleterious to the efficiency of this contact as the antithetical behavior was in your past.
60.6 Questioner. Aside from the workings, I am concerned about the physical distortions of the instrument in the area of hands and arms. Is there a, shall we say, mental exercise or something else that the instrument could work on to help to alleviate the extreme problems she has at this time with her hands, etc.?
I am Ra. Yes.
60.7 Questioner. Would this be an exercise of meditation and contemplation upon the alleviation of these problems?
I am Ra. No.
60.8 Questioner. What would she do then in order to alleviate these problems?
I am Ra. As we have said, this instrument, feeling that it lacked compassion to balance wisdom, chose an incarnative experience whereby it was of necessity placed in situations of accepting self in the absence of other self's acceptance and the acceptance of other self without expecting a return or energy transfer. This is not an easy program for an incarnation but was deemed proper by this entity. This entity therefore must needs meditate and consciously, moment by moment, accept the self and its limitations which have been placed for the very purpose of bringing this entity to the precise tuning we are using. Further, having learned to radiate acceptance and love without expecting return, this entity now must balance this by learning to accept the gifts of love and acceptance of others which this instrument feels some discomfort in accepting. These two balancing workings will aid this entity in the release from the distortion called pain. The limitations are, to a great extent, fixed.
60.9 Questioner. Is the fact that the instrument already was consciously aware of this the reason that the first distortion was not enforced in making it impossible for you to communicate this to us?
I am Ra. This is not only correct for this entity which has been consciously aware of these learned/teachings for some of your years, but also true of each of the support group. The possibility of some of this information being offered was not there until this session.
60.10 Questioner. Thank you. When you spoke in the last session of energizing shocks coming from the top of the pyramid, did you mean that these came at intervals rather than steadily?
I am Ra. These energizing shocks come at discrete intervals but come very, very close together in a properly functioning pyramid shape. In one whose dimensions have gone awry, the energy will not be released with regularity or in quanta, as you may perhaps better understand our meaning.
60.11 Questioner. The next statement that I make may or may not be enlightening to me in my investigation of the pyramid energy. But it has occurred to me that the so-called effect in this so-called Bermuda Triangle is possibly due to the large pyramid beneath the water which releases this third spiral at discrete and varying intervals. And when other entities or craft are in the vicinity of this, it creates a situation where they change space/time continuum in some way. Is this correct?
I am Ra. Yes.
60.12 Questioner. Then this third spiral has an energizing effect that, if strong enough, will actually change the space/time continuum. Is there use or value to this type of change?
I am Ra. In the hands of one of fifth density or above, this particular energy may be tapped in order to communicate information, love, or light across what you would consider vast distances, but which with this energy may be considered transdimensional leaps. Also, there is the possibility of travel using this formation of energy.
60.13 Questioner. Would this travel be the instantaneous type having to do with not the slingshot effect, but the effect used primarily by sixth density entities? Or is it the slingshot effect that you are talking about?
I am Ra. The former effect is that of which we speak. You may note that as one learns the, shall we say, understandings or disciplines of the personality, each of these configurations of prana is available to the entity without the aid of this shape. One may view the pyramid at Giza as metaphysical training wheels.
60.14 Questioner. Then is the large underwater pyramid off the Florida coast one of the balancing pyramids that were constructed or some other social memory complex? And if so, which one?
I am Ra. That pyramid of which you speak was one whose construction was aided by sixth density entities of a social memory complex working with Atlanteans prior to our working with the, as you call them, Egyptians.
60.15 Questioner. You mentioned working with one other group other than the Egyptians. Who were they?
I am Ra. These entities were those of South America. We divided our forces to work within these two cultures.
60.16 Questioner. The pyramid shape, then, as I understand it, was deemed by your social memory complex at that time to be of paramount importance as, shall I say, a physical training aid for spiritual development. At this particular time in the evolution of our planet, it seems that you placed little or no emphasis on this shape. Is this correct?
I am Ra. This is correct. It is our honor/duty to attempt to remove the distortions that the use of this shape has caused in the thinking of your peoples and in the activities of some of your entities. We do not deny that such shapes are efficacious, nor do we withhold the general gist of this efficacy. However, we wish to offer our understanding, limited though it is, that contrary to our naive beliefs many thousands of years ago, the optimum shape for initiation does not exist. Let us expand upon this point. When we were aided by sixth density entities during our own third density experiences, we, being less bellicose in the extreme, found this teaching to be of help. In our naivete in third density, we had not developed the interrelationships of your barter or money system and power. We were, in fact, a more philosophical third density planet than your own, and our choices of polarity were much more centered about the, shall we say, understanding of sexual energy transfers and the appropriate relationships between self and other self. We spend a much larger portion of our space/time working with the unmanifested being. In this less complex atmosphere, it was quite instructive to have this learn/teaching device, and we benefited without the distortions we found occurring among your peoples. We have recorded these differences meticulously in the great record of creation, that such naivete shall not be necessary again. At this space/time we may best serve you, we believe, by stating that the pyramid for meditation along with other rounded and arched or pointed circular shapes is of help to you. However, it is our observation that due to the complexity of influences upon the unmanifested being at this space/time nexus among your planetary peoples, it is best that the progress of the mind/body/spirit complex take place without, as you call them, training aids, because when using a training aid, an entity then takes upon itself the law of responsibility for the quickened or increased rate of learn/teaching. If this greater understanding, if we may use this misnomer, is not put into practice in the moment-by-moment experience of the entity, then the usefulness of the training aid becomes negative.
60.17 Questioner. Thank you. I don't know if this question will result in any usable direction, but I think I must ask it. What was the Ark of the Covenant? And what was its use?
I am Ra. The Ark of the Covenant was that place wherein those things most holy, according to the understanding of the one called Moishi, were placed. The article placed therein has been called by your peoples 2 tablets, called the 10 Commandments. There were not 2 tablets. There was one writing in scroll. This was placed along with the most carefully written accounts by various entities of their beliefs concerning the creation by the one Creator. This ark was designed to constitute the place wherefrom the priests, as you call those distorted towards the desire to serve their brothers, could draw their power and feel the presence of the one Creator. However, it is to be noted that this entire arrangement was designed, not by the one known to the Confederation as Yahweh, but rather was designed by negative entities preferring this method of creating an elite called the Sons of Levi.
60.18 Questioner. Was this a device for communication then? You said they also drew power from it. What type of power? How did this work?
I am Ra. This was charged by means of the materials with which it was built being given an electromagnetic field. It became an object of power in this way, and, to those whose faith became that untarnished by unrighteousness or separation, this power designed for negativity became positive, and is so, to those truly in harmony with the experience of service, to this day. Thus the negative forces were partially successful, but the positively oriented Moishi, as this entity was called, gave to your planetary peoples the possibility of a path to the one infinite Creator which is completely positive. This is in common with each of your orthodox religious systems, which have all become somewhat mixed in orientation, yet offer a pure path to the one Creator which is seen by the pure seeker.
60.19 Questioner. Where is the Ark of the Covenant now? Where is it located?
I am Ra. We refrain from answering this query due to the fact that it does still exist and is not that which we would infringe upon your peoples by locating.
60.20 Questioner. Thank you. In trying to understand the energies, creative energies, it has occurred to me that I really do not understand why unusable heat is generated as our Earth moves from third into fourth density. I know it has to do with disharmony between the vibrations of third and fourth density, but why this would show up as a physical heating within the earth is beyond me. Can you enlighten me on that?
I am Ra. The concepts are somewhat difficult to penetrate in your language. However, we shall attempt to speak to the subject. If an entity is not in harmony with its circumstances, it feels a burning within. The temperature of the physical vehicle does not yet rise, only the heat of the temper or the tears, as we may describe this disharmony. However, if an entity persists for a long period of your space/time in feeling this emotive heat and disharmony, the entire body complex will begin to resonate to this disharmony, and the disharmony will then show up as the cancer or other degenerative distortion from what you call health. When an entire planetary system of peoples and cultures repeatedly experiences disharmony on a great scale, the earth under the feet of these entities shall begin to resonate with this disharmony. Due to the nature of the physical vehicle, disharmony shows up as a blockage of growth or an uncontrolled growth, since the primary function of a mind/body/spirit complex's bodily complex is growth and maintenance. In the case of your planet, the purpose of the planet is the maintenance of orbit and the proper location or orientation with regards to other cosmic influences. In order to have this occurring properly, the interior of your sphere is hot.
And the honeycomb nature, are there third density incarnate entities living in the honeycombed areas? Is this correct?
I am Ra. This was at one time correct. This is not correct at this present space/time.
60.23 Questioner. And are there any inner civilizations or entities living in these areas that are some of the other than physically incarnate, who do come and materialize on the Earth's surface at times?
I am Ra. As we have noted, there are some which do as you say. Further, there are some inner plane entities of this planet which prefer to do some materialization into third density visible in these areas. There are also bases, shall we say, in these areas of those from elsewhere, both positive and negative. There are abandoned cities.
60.24 Questioner. What are these bases used for by those from elsewhere?
I am Ra. These bases are used for the work of materialization of needed equipment for communication with third density entities and for resting places for some equipment which you might call small craft. These are used for surveillance when it is requested by entities. Thus some of the, shall we say, teachers of the Confederation speak partially through these surveillance instruments along computerized lines, and when information is desired and those requesting it are of the proper vibratory level, the Confederation entity itself will then speak.
60.25 Questioner. Am I to understand then that the Confederation entity needs communication equipment and craft to communicate with the third density incarnate entity requesting the information?
I am Ra. This is incorrect. However, many of your peoples request the same basic information in enormous repetition, and for a social memory complex to speak ad infinitum about the need to meditate is a waste of the considerable abilities of such social memory complexes. Thus some entities have had approved by the Council of Saturn the placement and maintenance of these message givers for those whose needs are simple, thus reserving the abilities of the Confederation members for those already meditating and absorbing information which are then ready for additional information.
60.26 Questioner. There has been, for the past 30 years, a lot of information and a lot of confusion. And in fact, I would say the law of confusion has been, working overtime to make a small joke in bringing information for spiritual catalysis to groups requesting it. And we know that both the positively and the negatively oriented social memory complexes have been adding to this information as they can. This has led to somewhat of a condition of apathy in a lot of cases with respect to the information by many who are truly seeking but have been thwarted by a condition of what I might call spiritual entropy in this information. Can you comment on this and the mechanisms of alleviating these problems?
I am Ra. We can comment on this.
60.27 Questioner. Only if you deem it to be of importance I would request a comment. If you feel it unimportant, we'll skip it.
I am Ra. This information is significant to some degree as it bears upon our own mission at this time. We of the Confederation are at the call of those upon your planet. If the call, though sincere, is fairly low in consciousness of the, shall we say, system whereby spiritual evolution may be precipitated, then we may only offer that information useful to that particular caller. This is the basic difficulty. Entities receive the basic information about the original thought and the means, that is meditation and service to others, whereby this original thought may be obtained. Please note that as Confederation members we are speaking for positively oriented entities. We believe the Orion group has precisely the same difficulty. Once this basic information is received, it is not put into practice in the heart and in the life experience, but instead rattles about within the mind, complex distortions as would a building block which has lost its place and simply rolls from side to side uselessly, yet still the entity calls. Therefore, the same basic information is repeated. Ultimately, the entity decides that it is weary of this repetitive information. However, if an entity puts into practice that which it is given, it will not find repetition except when needed.
60.28 Questioner. Thank you. Are the chakras or bodily energy centers related to, or do they operate like the pyramid energy funnel?
I am Ra. No.
60.29 Questioner. Was there a purpose for mummification having to do with anything other than bodily burial?
I am Ra. Much as we would like to speak to you of this distortion of our designs in constructing the pyramid, we can say very little, for the intent was quite mixed and the uses, though many felt them to be positive, were of a non-positive order of generation. We cannot speak upon this subject without infringing upon some basic energy balances between the positive and negative forces upon your planet. It may be said that those offering themselves felt they were offering themselves in service to others.
60.30 Questioner. What civilization was it that helped true using the pyramid shape while Ra was in third density?
I am Ra. Your people have a fondness for the naming. These entities have begun their travel back to the Creator and are no longer experiencing time.
60.31 Questioner. The instrument wished to know, when using the pendulum for discovering energy centers, if the back and forth motion meant anything rather than the circular motion.
I am Ra. This shall have to be the final question, although this entity is still providing us with energy. It is experiencing the distortion towards pain.
60.32 Questioner. Only, is there anything that we can do to make the instrument more comfortable or to improve the contact?
I am Ra. Be merry, my friends. All is well and your conscientiousness is to be recommended. We leave you in the love and the light of the one infinite Creator. Rejoice, then, and go forth in the peace and in the glory of the one infinite Creator. I am Ra. Adonai.